Not going to pretend to understand the money. I'm definitely not going to pretend to understand how the Detroit Lions are going to drop $170 million guaranteed on Jared Goff. But so my argument's that they didn't need to give him that much. I think he would have probably taken less, but he's now the second highest paid quarterback in terms of yearly salary. His average, $53 million. Just below Burrow at 55, above Herbert at 52.5, above Lamar, above Hurts. Quite frankly, I'm baffled, I think, as most of you are, but I don't know that I'm mad. Why would I be mad? Amon-Ra St. Brown's got his QB locked up. Jamison Williams has got his QB locked up. LaPorta, QB locked up. Goff's efficient enough to feed everybody, and the offense is fantastic, and Ben Johnson's a marvel. So, like, at the end of the day, this is similar to the Kirk Cousins situation. Like, who cares? From a football perspective, you know, we can have a lot of good conversations about this one, for sure. Like if we're just talking football, like, why pay him this much money? Did they know they could pay him less? And the way the contracts work, the highest paid quarterback or the second highest paid, usually somebody jumps and leapfrogs all the other quarterbacks, and it looks weird, and then the other quarterbacks, like a ladder, climb back up above. It's kind of like a way of slingshotting the guys that are better above that. And, you know, but at the same time, like Goff, you know, getting this amount of money, $170 million guaranteed, there is some impact to even Brandon Ayuk. There's even some impact to JJ. There's definitely impact, like collateral damage and collateral impact to the other contracts, even if they're not quarterbacks, just because this guaranteed money sets a new tone and precedent for guaranteed money, regardless if it's out of position in a different conversation. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
I mean, this one's a wild one. And Juicebox says he got his Blake Corum and Kyron stack. That's fantastic, bro. Kyron to the freaking moon. Potentially, as Panic Peters everywhere swarm around this topic, you know, you're going to get maybe the touchdown leader on the ground in the National Football League, and you've cuffed him to one of the best cuffs. As much as we don't worry about Corum, this is about McVay. So fantastic job, Juicebox. And then Calvin Krim coming in with the $2 hauler right from the start. There might not be a wide receiver I trust more than Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't blame you for saying that. I mean, there are a couple that I trust more, I'll admit, but I mean, I don't blame you at all for saying that. And Goff and the offense and the Lions and the vibe and the defense now, like, they're improving the defense even more. Like, this is a squad. This is one of those, this is the Rams, right? Stafford's not the best quarterback in the league, but are you feeling pretty comfortable about the Rams if they all stay healthy? You damn straight you are. Damn straight you are. Are you feeling really comfortable about the Detroit Lions, who last year, this is last year's bracket, went pretty far here and almost won this game and really should have won that game? They were on their horse, doing their thing, and it all fell apart. But I mean, good God, people, this is okay. I'm fine. I can rant and rave about the money if I wanted to, but this is the Fantasy Football Show, so I'm only going to do that so much. Or we'll talk positively about it, then we'll circle back when the phone line's open and people want to talk about guaranteed money and from an NFL perspective how this is really weird. That's fine, but this is very similar to the Atlanta Falcons situation in that I think people in a fantasy space, which is where we're at, are going to overly judge this situation, and we don't need to. We can just say, thank you, sir. Let's have another. Why am I upset that Amon-Ra St. Brown has a quarterback he loves that is proven to feed him? I'm not going to complain. Why am I upset over a quarterback that absolutely adores Jahmyr Gibbs. And the science behind why Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a top 1 to 5 running back, we already know it because we explained it last year. Here it is. This is the algorithmic data that can't be refuted by any scientist on planet Earth because we have the algorithmic data and formula with the conjunction components involved that make this an indisputable equation across the history of fantasy football mathematics. But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs' workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. It's glorious, ladies and gentlemen. It is glorious that Jahmyr Gibbs has his man that he trusts that's proven to throw him the football. It's glorious that for the long term, and look, this is why we're here to talk about this and relish and to rejoice in this. We already know Goff's the quarterback in 2024. This doesn't help or do anything really significantly to the 2024 value. But from a dynasty perspective, St. Brown, like any concerns you have of JJ right now, right? You have concerns about JJ, right? You don't know who his quarterback's going to be 2-3 years from now because you're not too sure about McCarthy, maybe like me. And you look at CeeDee Lamb, who's got Dak Prescott on his final year of his contract. He can't be franchise tagged. And the Cowboys, as of this moment, as of May 13, don't want to extend him. And he has a no franchise tag clause. And he might be gone. You don't know what's in store for CeeDee Lamb in the future. These are scary things for dynasty wide receiver shopping and valuations. But we don't have that concern about Amon-Ra St. Brown, do we?
Legend has it if you say St. Brown 3 times in the dark in the bathroom, you will immediately lose your league.
Got him.
Maybe Gotham needs to be Gotham. Gotham. I got Gotham. I got 212 million, 170 million guaranteed. That's what you call a Gotham when you Gotham up. But I mean, good God, like St. Brown just got security that JJ doesn't have. You might like McCarthy. I'm not really sold, and I've got more news on McCarthy today. Very premature news, but it's not great. It's not horrible, but it's not great. He doesn't look great is what we're hearing. He doesn't look bad. He just doesn't look great. He's making mistakes. He's throwing balls behind receivers. He just doesn't look like he's this, ready-made quarterback like JD5 going out there throwing missiles down the field. JD5's throwing absolute lasers down the field. And let's be fair, Caleb's throwing good passes too. I want to make sure you understand I come with no bias to the table. I still doubt a lot of the other things that are not field related in terms of athleticism. So Caleb's throwing good footballs down the field. JD5 looks spectacular. Penix Jr. looks marvelous, might I add. But so does Cousins, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't know about you, but nothing makes me feel more warm and fuzzy inside than knowing that Kirk Cousins and Penix Jr. are both looking like fire. It's early, but it's better than hearing they're doing bad. Like, I get it. I'm not trying to take it to the bank yet. But the fact that both Cousins and Penix Jr. are looking great, I'm pretty confident we're going to be fine on some level, right? If Kirk Cousins or Penix isn't right, the other one is. That's the whole point of the security and why I love the Atlanta Falcons and what they do so well. We don't have the security back on point. We don't have the security in JJ. I wish we did, but we don't right now. We don't. We have more security in JJ because he has a quarterback than we might have in Dallas with CeeDee Lamb, unless this man, Jerry's World, walks into the next couple of weeks or month and says, you know what? Let's give Dak a contract. What do you mean I'm not signing Dak? Of course I am. I think he's off his rocker. So, quite honestly, whatever he says one moment, I don't buy it the next moment. He walked out of that playoff loss, that embarrassing playoff loss over here against the Green Bay Packers last year, and acted like he was going to write blank checks to get whatever pieces he needed in the lineup, which is why we all, including myself, were a little bit fooled into thinking Jerry might bring in Henry, might even give him a call. Maybe just dial him up and ask him a question or two, like, hey, Derek, do you even want to play for Jerry's world? But no, Jerry was too busy. He was too busy not even considering drafting or bringing in a veteran running back in the probably what's being considered the best running back free agent pool we've seen in at least a decade, maybe some say all time. I don't know if I want to get carried away there until I think about it deeply. So I'll say decade. Last decade, we've never had Jacobs, Barkley, and Henry, too big, and Eckler. There's a big group of guys, Swift, that were available. This is a huge running back pool, free agency pool. And Jerry didn't go after a single one. I don't want to hear it. I know Steve and Wilbur and Margot are all typing right now. Smitty, they didn't have the money for it, Smitty. I'm trying to type as fast as I can and hit enter, but Smitty, stop refuting my topic. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. Running backs don't cost nothing. Not to mention Eckler's and the lower end ones of the top 5 or 6 costed literally what kickers cost. I don't want to hear that running backs are too expensive. They're not. They get paid nothing. You can move that around by getting a different hot dog vendor. Don't tell me that you can't pay Derrick Henry, Jacobs, or at least an Eckler or a Swift or somebody like that. Don't tell me that the Cowboys were handcuffed to having no RB. And then on top of that, they could have at least drafted a Braylon Allen, a big-bodied running back, a Jalen Wright, a nice quick best 5-yard sprint, miles per hour time in the combine. This guy's got the easiest ability to hit the hole quickly, and they don't bring in that guy to run between the tackles. No, they don't do anything. So Lamb's in trouble. I don't know if Jerry's so sporadic he could sign Dak to a long-term deal tomorrow. And then we're okay. Then we're talking about just JJ being a little bit of a concern. Back on point. God, I get sidetracked. This man right here.
Legend has it if you say St. Brown 3 times in the dark in the bathroom, you will immediately lose your league.
That guy right there is safe and sound. Tucked in, all nice and tight, warm in his bed by this man, Mr. Papa Jared Goff. And I feel good about that, as should you, because you know where you stand with Jared. You know what Jared's bringing to the table when he's feeding Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know what Jared Goff's bringing to the table, what his likes and dislikes are when it comes to Sam LaPorta. You know what the offense, Ben Johnson, the entire team, including Goff, and how it all functions together. You know it jives very well with our boy, Jahmyr Gibbs, who is an absolute king in fantasy. I feel pretty good. Peanut butter and jelly says, Smitty, I agree with your logic, but I can't think of one player that Dallas has signed in the last 8 to 10 years and free agency that was an impact player. I'm not sure where you're going with this, like in a more negative direction toward the Dallas Cowboys, or if you're saying that, clarify that for me. I'm very interested. But in Jerry's world, I don't know where this is going. I don't know where it's going. Bakes a lot says Hendon Hooker got buried on the depth chart permanently. Absolutely. We didn't know what he was anyway. Space Ricky says CeeDee Lamb's an impact player. Abso-freaking-lutely, bro. And he needs a quarterback. But that's the problem, is you have to be a little afraid of his dynasty value right now. A little bit. Not that he's not worth what JJ's worth, right? JJ's a 5, 6, 7 overall player. I can't tell you how many times I draft JJ at 5 or 6. Especially in a redraft, right? And his dynasty value is a little bit higher, like a pick or two maybe. But I can't tell you how many times I draft JJ at 6 with a smile. I'm fine with that. Like, he can survive that. But we don't want him to survive. We want him to be the best wide receiver in the National Football League. Well, technically, we might want Marvin Harrison, who's a part of this crew right here, the Smitty bunch. Marvin Harrison, I believe, is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football 2025 and beyond. I'm talking about redraft, dynasty. He's my dynasty 1 right now. Let me see if I can get my own image in here, my own likeness. Let's see if I put myself. I guess I should have put myself in a box. I could have put myself. Maybe I'll put myself in between here. I don't know, somewhere in there. But this is a fantastic group right here. Look at this group. Look at this group. Look at these 2 families coming together and making the Smitty bunch. We got. Don't rip on Alice in the middle, because Kirk Cousins might hold this whole thing together all year long. He looked fantastic today. I'll put that news report up. Both Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins have been looking phenomenal. And that's amazing, amazing news. This guy's got a chip on his shoulder. Alice ain't playing around this year. And Penix Jr. is saying, hey, this is my time to shine. They're going to be fighting for it, essentially. And Penix Jr. might have to wait. And if he does, it's fantastic. In fact, I don't want Penix Jr. in there right now, because guess what? That means we're down to 1 of the security blanket players. I love knowing we got 2 of them. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm not like rooting for the demise of Kirk Cousins, because I don't necessarily want to have 1 quarterback. I love the fact that there are 2 quarterbacks. Full circle back to this situation. I love it. I love it. I love it. I hate the money. If I was writing the checks, I'd hate it. What it does to the peripheral of fantasy football contracts everywhere, that is kind of the bigger point here, I think, that we go into from here. Because if you think this is a bad deal for St. Brown's fantasy value, if you think this is a bad deal for LaPorta or Jameis Williams, or especially Jahmyr Gibbs' fantasy value, I don't know what in the heck your problem is, and you need to take a lap. But you have to think $170 million guaranteed deal, whether it's outside of the position that you're thinking of or you're talking Ayuk, right? Ayuk is guaranteed money. When we take a look at Ayuk's, like when Ridley signed in the 50s, right? Guaranteed. Ridley got something like 50, I forget if it's 53. Somebody look it up. Ridley, I think, got 53 mil guaranteed. I want to say 54, something around that 55. Maybe it was 50. Might have been 50 even. And you had Ayuk that was sitting right here as maybe the next wide receiver that could have been taken, right? You were sitting there looking at Ayuk. Could Ayuk be the next wide receiver signed to a long-term deal? And someone said they had a message, a celebratory message. Thomas is celebrating 14 months on the channel. Super Dynasty Superflex, Sam Howell or 25 second. Give me the 25 second, bro. As long as you're going to survive, I guess, at quarterback. I don't know about Sam Howell. I'd much rather have the second rounder, bro. You look at the second round right now. You review a second round. You got Parasol. You got McConkey. You got JD5 winning at the 2.2 for me. I'm not saying you'll get him. You don't know where you're going to get guys like that, right? So I 100% take the second round pick. Thank you for that celebratory message. And then we got another $2 hauler. Oh no, that was Calvin Crims earlier. Thank you, Calvin. Appreciate you. So Ayuk, did we get a 50? What was the amount of contract he was guaranteed? 46.9 million. Was that right? 4 years, 92 million, says Hoosiers. But what was the guaranteed meal? 46? Was it? Are you sure it's 46? It doesn't sound right. I don't remember it being 46 million guaranteed. Let's just call it 50, whatever. 50 guaranteed is what you were flirting with for Ayuk. That was what he was looking at. And you could have said, okay, I want more. Smitty, 25 second. Yeah, I'll take 25 second. I'm just telling you in general, look who went in the second round. That's what my point was. Look who went in the second round, Thomas. I had JD5 go at the 2.2. Ricky Parasol went in the middle of the second round in the draft that we just did for the subscriber league as a dynasty. So I'd take that 25-second in hopes that you're going to get something good. Ayuk was looking at 55. I would say at the time of the Ridley deal, Ayuk was looking at $55 million guaranteed. Then the Niners wait. They wait. It goes up. Devontae Smith signs his deal. It goes up. Now you want Ayuk wanted 60 to 65 million guaranteed. Then all of a sudden, on draft day, 12 minutes before the draft began, the Eagles played 5D chess with everybody, specifically with the 49ers, and dropped that, what was it, $84 million guaranteed? I believe it was the $84 million guaranteed deal to A.J. Brown. And so now this is the number that Ayuk's looking at. No one's saying that Ayuk is A.J. Brown, like out of this group here. Those watching, you, me, everybody right here. But I can guarantee you that in his mind, Ayuk is thinking he is A.J. Brown, at least initially. I'm not saying he won't come back down to earth. I'm not saying he won't settle for something significantly less. But when A.J. Brown signs 12 minutes before the NFL draft begins, 12 minutes before the NFL draft begins, a $96 million, $84 million guaranteed deal, it messes with the contract value and the contract desires of Ayuk, which is why a draft day trade didn't happen, because the Falcons played 3D chess or 10D chess with everybody. So now you have Ayuk trying to dance between $50 and $84 million guaranteed. Even if you met straight in the middle, even if you said, I want not what Ridley got, I want, okay, not what AJ Brown got. Let me put AJ Brown here so I'm not confusing people. AJB, okay? But I want something right in the middle. So 84 plus 50 divided by 2 is 67 million. I want 67 million guaranteed in the middle. My guess is the Niners don't want to pay anywhere near close to that. So back to this situation here, it's not that $170 million can directly be tied in any way, shape, or form to Ayuk or to JJ or to Ja'Marr Chase or to Dak Prescott. Well, to Dak Prescott, I'm sorry. Directly to Dak Prescott. But the number doesn't necessarily say he's getting paid this or he's getting paid that, especially with the wide receivers. It does more so with the quarterbacks. But it does increase the value of everybody, just in a degree of separation kind of way. So 170 changes the quarterback game. Everything goes up. It's inflation. It's all connected. Think of it like spider webs on every single contract, and then you have the biggest contract in the middle, the quarterbacks. As the quarterbacks get pulled up, that spider web that's connected just drags everything up with it. It does. It's not like not connected. It's all interconnected. So honestly, I think this number right here, if we were to say that Ayuk was thinking very, very logical, and he's like, I'll take in the middle of the guaranteed money, 67.5 million guaranteed, 68 million guaranteed. I could see that number, 65, 68 million guaranteed, something like that. I think that this contract right here, 170 mil guaranteed, could potentially change this to even like 70 plus, just 70, 72, 71. I'm not saying it's crazy significant, but it all impacts one another. So this is a big deal. And specifically to Dak, if Jerry was contemplating, who's not wanting to spend a bunch of money, right? If Jerry was contemplating extending Dak Prescott, this may have just put a thorn in the side of that plan, because I don't know that Jerry was wanting to sign Dak, who barely, if he wants to sign him, it's like he wakes up one day and is like, F it, let's do it. But like, you really going to say, F it, let's do it to a $212 million, $170 million guaranteed type of deal? I can tell you this, if we're going to talk about the NFL perspective, if we could talk about the NFL perspective, Glenn says, I'm driving up the Jaden Daniels rookie card prices. Thank you. I take that as a badge of honor, to be honest with you. I think if we take this, we look at this and say, from an NFL perspective, from a skills perspective, from a scouting, not fantasy, but NFL scouting perspective or whatever, Dak's better than Goff. Or at least equal. But I believe he's a little bit better than Goff. I know that some might like Goff more than others. When he signed this on my Instagram post, I had people saying he's not even top 15, he's not top 10. Goff's really good. Goff's underrated. Like, I get the spectrum of Goff love is all over the place. And dare I say Goff hate. Some people don't like him. I think he's a nice guy. There's nothing to hate about him. He's a good dude. But, you know, Goff is probably on a slightly lower tier than Dak Prescott in my mind. And I don't know how you guys feel about that. So in my mind, he's getting $170 million guaranteed at least. He's getting $212 million on a 4-year deal at least. I don't know that there's any other way to dance around that. And so Jerry, who might have been teeter-tottering, may be walking away from the table. Maybe he's crazy and he goes, oh, you know, we got to hurry up. This is going to get more expensive. Just give him that deal. Give him 185 guaranteed, $225 million, call it a day. Jerry, we haven't even talked about those numbers. That's okay. I got up on the right side of the bed today. Tomorrow I'll regret it. Like, we don't know what Jerry's going to do. We have no idea what Jerry's going to do. Let's be completely honest. We have no clue. He could sign Dak tomorrow. But I would guess that this is probably bad. I would guess this probably makes any kind of trade or any kind of contract talk a little tougher. And I know this is out there. Totally out there. I'm not saying there's any spec on this at all. I'm not saying it's even all that logical. But you'd think that, like, the Raiders, if you're the Raiders, you pick up the phone and you say, look, Jerry, you don't want this guy. Like, think about the logic here that I'm laying down, right? I know it's probably not going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying there's any rumors. I'm just saying, hear me out and listen to the logic. This is Pierce calling up Jerry. Hey, Jerry, you eating that avocado toast right now? Sit down, buddy. I got something for you. It's going to knock your socks off. Okay. You don't even like Dak, right? Well, you know, we like Dak. No, but you don't like him, Jerry. You don't like him because you're not extending him. If you liked him, you would have signed him. And if you liked him, you would have signed him when he was a lot cheaper. He's only going up in price tag, meaning you're more likely to not sign him because you've already proven you don't want him. You don't know if you want him. Even if you don't know if you want him, you definitely know you don't want him. You just don't know if maybe you want him, right? Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Why don't we take him off your hands? He's got a no trade clause. You can't franchise tag him. He's got a no franchise tag clause. You're going to lose him outright, but you don't want to extend him. Why would you take the chance of getting nothing for him? And if you believed he'd win, if you think it's such a hit and loss to lose him, then you would extend him. It's logical. So why don't we take him off your hands? He'll waive the no trade clause because we're going to give him a big fat contract. We're going to give him $225 million, $185 million guaranteed, and we'll take him off your hands. We'll give you a first rounder plus this. You retool for this year. You come in strong, and you get Shedeur Sanders. You trade up. You do whatever you got to do. Jerry, you love Sanders. He's been talking about you, pal. Yeah, he'd like to play for you, pal. Okay, let's get it done. How is this not logical? It just is. But it probably won't happen. Now I'm going to get a bunch of people later on. Smitty, I can't believe you think that trade could go down. Joe Burrow, $55 million. Jared Goff, $53 million. Herbert, $52.5 million. Lamar, $52. Jalen Hurts, $51. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things does not belong. But doesn't matter. It is what it is. Appreciate you all. Space Ricky coming in with the $2 holler. Smitty, do we need hooker insurance? It depends on what you mean by that, Space Ricky. But Hendon Hooker and Goff is pretty good. You know, like if you're in a super flex league, you know, and you have your second quarterback as Goff, you grab Hendon Hooker. That's a pretty good, solid move given the offense, but it's not my favorite move. You know, would I rather have Jordan Love as my super flex quarterback? Yeah. Would I rather have JD5 as my super
to the moon
super flex quarterback? JD5. You bet your bottom dollar I'd rather have JD5. JD5 is the best super flex second quarterback you can find. And if you get him in like round 2, very rarely you get him at the top of 3. but you get him in round 2 in a super flex startup, or you have a rookie pick, the second overall. I do spend my first overall on Marvin Harrison Jr. 9 times out of 10. But JD5 is so close that situation could push me over the edge to take JD5. But Marvin Harrison Jr. in any size league, big and tall, touchdown dependent or not, whatever the case may be, PPR, non-PPR, 8 points per reception leagues, doesn't matter. Marvin Harrison Jr. minus 1 point per reception leagues. I'm still drafting him. I don't care. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the absolute moon. And have you seen the Cardinals lately? Anybody seen the Cardinals lately?
The stack above all stacks. It's time to drop the pancake emojis in the...
I mean, good God. Okay, so, Burrow 55. God, I can't believe Jared Goff's the second highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. Something that will get remedied pretty quickly, especially if Dak gets his contract. But Dak Prescott, Fox Sports announced that the Cowboys will visit the Browns in Week 1. That should be pretty good for Dak, But you never know. I mean, the Browns are a tough D. It's just, I think that's we'll see. Actually, the Browns could win that one. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see out of Dak. The confidence could be shaken. It could be his back's against the wall. He's trying to prove something, a chip on his shoulder. He's playing for money. Maybe Dak goes out gunslinging. But here's my concern for anybody thinking that's the probable outcome. My bigger fear, though, to be quite frank with you, is that Dak's going to be in his own head. He is playing for money, and if he does badly, he's not going to get a big fat deal. And on top of that, you gave him less support than he had last year. His running back stable is weaker this year than it was last year. You had the opportunity to go fix that. You didn't. There's concerns for me. So I don't know that Dak is 100% just because they have a weaker running game going to throw more and be better. If anything, he could make more mistakes. He could be more of a focal point of the defense. Let's let Zeke Elliott run 3.2 yards per carry all day long, and let's make sure we're covering our bases in every other facet of our defensive game planning when we can shut down the Dak aerial assault to a better degree. Because we're not scared at all of Zeke Elliott in his 3.2, 3.3, 3.4 yards per carry. Nor are we scared of a guy named Rico Dowdle who ran for less than 400 yards last year. He had 300-something rushing yards. Ziggy, how many rushing yards did Rico Dowdle have in 2023?
In the 2023 season, Rico Dowdle rushed for 361 yards for the Dallas Cowboys.
361 yards. Ziggy off. 360 yards. He hasn't done anything. We don't know what this rushing attack's going to look like. I have a little bit more fear that Dak can't be better than he was last year. It doesn't feel, especially with McCarthy and Dak both having their backs against the wall. See, Doubting Donnie's got and I don't think Doubting Donnie's take is wrong. A lot of people share it. If Dak doesn't have a contract by the season, he's going to be passing a lot. Great for CD. You could argue this both ways. I get it and I understand it, but I'm a little bit more leaning toward the other direction to say, hey, McCarthy's not getting extended. He's in his own head. Dak's not getting extended. He's in his own head. The running game is worse. I don't know how it's any better. I don't know how this is a better situation. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, this beautiful piece of news right here, this beautiful scene of, I believe that's Kyle Pitts right there, right? Kyle Pitts catching a deep ball from Kirk Cousins. And this throw, by the way, is just I'll put it on my Instagram a little bit later. This throw right is in a window, and it's high, and only Pitts can grab it, and it's in stride. And it's the kind of throw Pitts has never seen in his life. I feel like he almost stopped because he was used to catching the ball and like almost getting darted. And this guy's catching on the fly, extending, using all of his attributes. Like, this is unbelievable seeing this. This is a great throw by Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is looking amazing. Penix Jr. looking amazing. Atlanta Falcons are looking absolutely amazing. as they should, as they're a part of the Smitty bunch. A family coming together like no other. A family that deserves to be talked about, spoke about, and will resonate through eternity like the Brady bunch did. The Smitty bunch is very similar. The impact the Smitty bunch will have to this generation will be the same, dare I say, the same as the impact that the Brady bunch had back in the, 90s? This piece of beauty here is J.J. McCarthy, and when I say beauty, I don't mean in a good way. J.J. McCarthy has been kind of spotty, and it's early, so I want to be very, very careful not to paint too many negative pictures, because remember, and this is me crapping on myself, this is self-deprecation right here. I remember during the offseason last year, Baker Mayfield and Trask both overthrew wide receivers in a catching drill. Both of them overthrew, I think, near the same throw. Like one threw and then the other threw. Or it was clipped perfectly and you couldn't tell. But they both, they were 10, 11 yards away, and they threw over the heads of the wide receivers. They couldn't even touch the ball. It was over their head. And I remember I came live and I was like, holy crap, guys. Baker's going to have a horrible year. And Baker did really well. For the most part. So I don't want to overreact, and I want to throw that out there as a form of self-deprecation and a form of pump the brakes. Don't let too many negative, camp stories freak you out. But we have been hearing about inaccuracies so far in camp, and this right here tells you J.J. McCarthy has been a little inaccurate so far in camp. Clips that are being posted. Throw was behind the wide receiver, but he makes a good catch. So this is a very, very bad throw. It's thrown behind him. But it's not just one. It's multiple, and it's in motion. It's, receivers breaking routes. It's the receivers breaking routes maybe that's causing some of that problem and hang up. Remember, we came out of the national championship game, and everybody blamed Penix Jr., but it was the wide receivers. The onus was on the wide receivers more than it was on Penix to not hit some of these long connections that would have maybe turned the game around. And Odunze came out and said, I ran the wrong route. Penix threw a beauty that would have changed the trajectory of the game. But Odunze ran the wrong way. Penix Jr. threw a ball way over his head, and everyone's like, oh, Penix Jr. is awful. Penix Jr. has got an amazing touch. And so that's an example too, right? Because we don't know if these wide receivers are running the wrong route or what they're doing. Are they cutting too early? Are they breaking their route too early? Are they breaking their route in a way that's making JJ think he's got to throw it early or something? And so there's a lot of mistakes that can be made all around. But I'm just when you hear JD5 and you see JD5 looking glorious, JD5 in 7-on-7 was 12 out of 12. Oh, Smitty, it's just practice. You're gonna get excited about practice? No. I'm just trying to paint a picture of what we got. Who are you? Who are you to come in and tell me we can't have a conversation about the throwing that's going on right now? Am I supposed to just twiddle my thumbs and wait until August? Or do I try and roll with what we got? And people say that stupid line, it must be a slow off season for you to be talking about practice. And the only person saying that is a person defending the player you're tearing down. No one's saying that when you walk into a commander chat and go, did you see Penix go 12 for 12 in 7-on-7s? No one's going to go, I love Penix, or I'm sorry, not Penix, JD5. JD5 went 12 for 12 in a 7-on-7s today. And do you hear one positive, a commander fan going, yeah, it's just practice. Let's kind of pump the brakes on that. It's yeah, he looks like an absolute magician out there. So it fits your narrative. It doesn't fit your narrative. I get it. And I'm not trying to make as big of a deal of it, but the truth is, I'm worried about this guy from the jump, and he's not looking particularly good yet. And again, that could be fixed or remedied, and he might not even start week 1, so he has a lot of time. And Sam Darnold is supposed to maybe start week 1 at this juncture, and I don't know. We got a lot of time though, but I can't say I'm pleased with what I'm hearing. Is what I'm trying to tell you all, and that might piss some people off. And that's fine. I'm not here to please everybody. I'm here to just report and tell you my take. And my take is that I was already worried about him, and I'm still worried. He's not doing anything to prove me, wrong. Javonte Williams, this is bad. This is why he's been in a void all offseason. And I hate to say it because I love Javonte. I love Javonte. We've always loved Javonte. He got screwed out of. I literally will never admit to anybody that I was wrong on Javonte. We got screwed on Javonte. That ACL tear, how Hackett misused him. And then the moment Javonte went down, Hackett was begging for one running back to take all the work for the rest of the season. And we're like, you good God, man. You kidding me? Like, Hackett was a joke. And the Jets tried to get rid of him, by the way, in the offseason. Didn't work out, but they tried. Javonte's been screwed at every turn. And we got to be careful with this and just assuming that a new coach coming in is going to make things better every time. Because Sean Payton doesn't know what he's dealing with. Sean Payton appears to want a 5-headed running back monster. And he showed it last year. If evidence last year didn't tell you he doesn't want one running back, I don't know what will when he says things like this. Broncos head coach Sean Payton said, "We'll go by what we see." When asked about the possibility of the team holding a running back competition this offseason, he clarified with very, very distinct and clear, "I don't know yet. We're going to give everybody a chance, and we don't approach things to where we're not making people compete like as if the job is taken. You can go get it if you want it." But he doesn't even mean that, because he even said to us last offseason, "Don't believe a word I say at the podium." He even said that. I'm not going to tell you the truth. He said that last year. So I don't believe a word coming from him, a word from his mouth. All I know is this man runs rotations and then gives you little bits and pieces. And you could say, well, maybe he's going to start him then. But I don't think so. I think Sean Payton started to give us a little truth, and I don't think he's going to elaborate on it. But we can't go near it. We just can't. We can't go near it. You can't go near Estime. You could grab Estime late, but Estime is probably the best option. I don't like McLaughlin. Not that much. Javonte, I don't know. I mean, would I take him at the end of a draft? Maybe, but it depends on who's there. Would I rather have Isaac Garendo and stash him all year than Javonte? Probably. And you can call me insane for that. I don't care. I'm just telling you how I feel. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. That is the news. That is the news. Dial into the show.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the show. Okay, they need to trade Javonte. Philip, that could be a real possibility. There are a couple running backs on this topic. It's a great comment. Good conversation piece right here. There are several players that feel like they got good trade capability, right? You know, a couple running backs for sure. Like Khalil Herbert. Like, why not get rid of him? Why not give Khalil Herbert a chance somewhere? Dallas would be great. You know, Khalil Herbert goes to Dallas. That'd be interesting. Javonte to Dallas. That would be interesting. Javonte gets traded. That could be great. Michael Mayer. You know, this is the old regime's guy. You know, Michael Mayer would be fantastic to get traded. You know, send Michael Mayer to a tight end needy team, and that would be unreal. Send him to Indy. Oh, Michael Mayer in Indy. Give me that. Give me that all day long. I love that. That would be fantastic. There's a lot of potential trade players. Debo's probably number one. And honestly, I think the Niners tried to trade him, wanted to trade him. They wanted to trade Ayuk first, but they couldn't trade Ayuk because of how the Eagles completely played 10D chess with the Niners and played him to a T, and outpriced Ayuk into out of any trade deal because of that A.J. Brown announcement 12 minutes before the draft. That threw a wrench in the Niners' plans to get rid of him. The Niners drafted Ricky Pearsall, who's unbelievable. I love Pearsall. One of my favorite strategies would be Pearsall in either Debo or Pearsall in Ayuk as a cuff in Dynasty. So if you have a mid-second round pick, I've been doing that. I've done it so far in 2 Dynasty drafts. Absolutely love it, because not only is Pearsall a great cuff to Debo, even if Pearsall's more of like, I mean, he's replacing whoever leaves, right? And Debo's kind of the projected player to leave. So if you have Debo and Pearsall, if let's say Debo stayed, you're protected if Debo does get hurt or falls off. And then you get Pearsall, right? And then if Debo gets traded in the offseason, or let's say they surprise trade him in the middle of the year or tomorrow or whatever, and people say it can't happen, but anything can happen, especially when you have Pearsall sitting there and he's looking good and you're like, let's just get rid of Debo now and get some value, because next year they might not get the same value. What if he gets banged up? Then they're not getting anything. You know, he's older, more mileage. He might get even less, even if he has a good year, like a good year, not an amazing year, but a good year. And you're probably going to ease Pearsall in if you're going to switch him, you're going to want to get him ready. So then Debo gets dialed back a little bit. And if he gets hurt, you're screwed. So don't think Debo can't get traded to the Ravens or still the Buffalo Bills, but probably the Ravens, something like that. A lot of teams aren't going to be interested anymore, though. But the Bills still could have some interest. They might lower their price tag and say, look, we picked Keon Coleman. We don't have the draft capital we used to have. We'll do this deal if you want to do it. And the Niners might be like, well, we got Pearsall and we can't use him. But if Debo goes somewhere else, now you got a starter there, and Pearsall jumps in and becomes a starter. It's a fantastic cuffing situation. I love it. Absolutely love it. If the Niners trade Debo, is doubting Donnie. What's Donnie going to say? Let's see what Daddy done. If the Niners trade Debo after June 1st, they save about $22 million in cap, which they could then give to Ayuk. Right. And they could definitely. This is something that I know Niner fans are saying, and you're going to hear me talk a lot about it, Donnie. I'm already talking about it. No one else is talking about it. There's nobody saying, hey, Debo still could get traded. Everybody's like, hey, Kyle Shanahan and John said that it's not, deal's off. They're no longer interested in trading him. That's partly a trade tactic right there. They probably don't have interest in trading him unless the right deal comes along. I don't have interest in buying a new car unless the deal is great. When I go to the car dealer, I tell them, this is the best, a way to approach buying a car anyway. You say, look, it's probably stupid for me to be here. And blame it on your old lady. Be like, my old lady's never going to let me get one anyway, probably. But yeah, I shouldn't even be here because I love my car. Well, let me just show you around. And then when you get to the table and you say, look, I'm only going to do a deal that's stupid, like stupid good, because I don't need a car. In fact, I love my car. I'm looking at it out there right there. I'm having some reservations about even getting rid of it. I'm very sentimental to that car. And I love this one over here. But at this price, it doesn't even make me budge because I love my car. Like, that's negotiation 101, people. If the Niners, John and Kyle, want to trade Debo, the best thing they can do is pretend they don't want to get rid of him. He's a commodity. We love him. This guy's a gem. We don't need to get rid of him. So, very much, I think once June comes, we will hear rumblings, whether they come to fruition, whether there are a lot of fabricated rumors and nothing concrete, just a whisper here, a whisper there, and it ends up being wrong. I'm not saying it'll all come true and he'll get traded, a trade will get executed, but I think we'll start talking about Debo on the move again. And he's not particularly happy if you gauge what he's saying. And I know he called out Diana Rossini and clapped back at her when she posted a tweet that said, talk to Debo, essentially, not word for word because I don't remember it off the top of my head, but talk to Debo. And he's basically like come to terms. It is what it is, that they tried to trade him and he's happy to stay put. And deal with it or whatever, is basically how she kind of worded the tone of it. And Debo immediately, so in Debo's defense, and to try and shoot down maybe the idea that it really happened the way Diana Rossini's saying it, he said these reporters, like they'll say anything or they'll write anything. Like, so it kind of like devalued a report. And so we don't know what to believe, but we do know Debo's not like super happy. He told her something, right? And they did try and trade him. Right? So how could you be, it's kind of like if you were to get a call, or if you were to hear rumors that your job tried to trade you to another company and they weren't successful and they told you to come back in on Monday. It didn't work out. Hey, we'll see you Monday, Bob. Come back in with a big smile and ready to work hard for this organization. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Debo can't be pleased that his team tried to trade him. Yes, it's a business, but you're still going to be offended by that. You're still going to have a little bit less drive, a little bit of upset feelings, a little bit eagerness to maybe get out if the opportunity presented itself, if you could push it along a little bit and say, look, the fan base hated me when I was holding out. That was very, very messed up the way the Niner fan base treated Debo Samuel. And the team ignored him. He's probably still mad at Kyle for making him hold out. And you could say make him hold out. He didn't have to hold out. He chose to hold out. But it's still the process. And they were going to sign him anyway. And they just kept Debo sitting there. Debo didn't want to get hurt. He just kind of held out. He played badly, which is what Ayuk's going to play if they don't get him in there. But I have a feeling Debo's going to come up, is what I'm trying to say, Donnie. And it's going to be something that we talk about. And you know, the financials will be different after June anyway, so it will definitely come up in my mind. That's my thinking anyway. I got a super chat here from, oh no, this is from Space Ricky from earlier. Space Ricky, appreciate you dropping that. Let me see if we have any more celebratory messages. The phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the Grindhouse phone lines, or I'm sorry, not Grindhouse anymore. The Attic phone line, formerly known as Grindhouse. The Attic is a fantastic company, formerly known as Grindhouse. They just rebranded the name. All the same amazing prints and hoodies and new stuff that they come out with. They have posters now where you can get these on a big old school poster, original poster board of this, like, you know, Kong versus Godzilla, the spider. It's not like a reprint. It's like the original old school, it's kind of beat up poster that they used to have. They have like 150 of them in a box that were in an attic, hence the name The Attic, where all this stuff was found one day from my boy that runs this company, and his father like found it in the attic and is like, here's all this amazing stuff. They started printing these tees and hoodies, and it's such an amazing company. So go check out theattic.shop. Theattic.shop, vintage hoodies and tees straight from the Attic. Movies from over 40 years ago, original prints, and they are the sponsors of the phone line.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
So dial into the phone line, sponsored and brought to you by the Attic. Appreciate everybody here. Appreciate you. And then, of course, my other sponsor as of late is the Gibb board, and you can get 10% off these bad boys by going to gibbboardus.com, gibbboardus.com. But these are the Gibb boards. This is mine that came in. I showed you guys the Miss Smitty's. This sucker is fantastic. This sucker is not only like, dare I say, a like rehabilitation, like physical therapy board. So if anybody does physical therapy for a living, or anybody struggling with knee pain, this is like a godsend. My knees feel good already, because you're using all those like little micro movements while you're trying to balance on this thing. But it looks bad. Like, this looks amazing in my studio. I'd buy this just to set it in my studio like I have it. It just looks absolutely amazing, especially if you used to skateboard or surf and snowboard, and you're maybe getting older. Like, you're in your 40s, you're in your late 30s, and your knees are bad, and you're like, I want to feel like I can have a little fun on a board inside my house and get that same balancing feeling. So you put it down on the ground. So it's got this slack line, and it holds up to 400 pounds. So you're not going to break it. You can retighten it if it over time starts to droop a little bit and your foot like hits the board. But you can do tricks with it. You can do push-ups, mountain climbers with it. Code Smitty will get you 10% off. So do that. And then, so what I love to do is like for standing desk activities, you know, so like when I'm sitting here in the studio and I'm thinking, I'm getting really good at balancing on it too. Like I can go for, I think my record was 25 seconds, and you can walk around. I can like lift my leg up and go back on the board. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's so fun. I love this thing. It truly is one of my new favorite things in my studio. And I love putting it right here. I don't even mind just giving them more and more free promotion all year. Just that sucker looks amazing back there. I love it. Get your Gibb board. Get your Gibb board today. Code Smitty gets you 10% off at Gibbboard, G-I-Board, gibbboardus.com. Gibbboardus.com. I'll drop in the chat. Young, you're live. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Smitty? How you doing today?
I'm good, bro.
Nice, man. I'm just watching Sopranos right now for the third time.
I love The Sopranos. Bro, I don't even know how many.
Season 3 right now. It's getting crazy.
I don't even know how many times. I don't even know how many times I've seen that. I'd have to say, to be completely honest with you, without even exaggerating, I'd say I probably watched The Sopranos all the way through. You know, maybe I stopped like in season 5 and then did something and I forgot and then I never went back. But like, I literally almost watched the whole season through at least 15 times. Because you got to think like me. I work in my studio all day. Yeah, I work in my studio all day, and I'll binge something in the background, so it'll always be there, and I'll be like typing, and I'll be like, oh, this scene, and I'll just turn and watch it. What's up, bro?
Yo, man. I was wondering kind of how you're feeling about just the Jags overall, and kind of if you think Brian Thomas Jr. could be, somebody that's worth picking up, kind of the sleeper later on.
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking redraft then, right? You're talking redraft by saying,
yeah. Sorry,
because he wouldn't be he wouldn't be a sleeper. So I would say, man, I would say, in redraft I put him as a really good rotational wide receiver 3. So that's good. That's putting a lot of faith in him. You're saying like
nice.
Sleeper. I think it's pretty good value. I think I'm putting a lot of faith in. Like I like Keon Coleman and another player. Like let's say a Jameson Williams and Keon Coleman. Jameson Williams and Brian Thomas Jr. Jameson Williams and players like that as your rotational 3, and you went running back heavy or something. You know what I mean? Like you went Kyren and Gibbs at 11 and 14. Like I would end up having to go light wide receiver shopping, right? And have like combinations. I've even gone heavy running back like Kyren and Gibbs or Hall and Gibbs or whatever, and then gone Kelsey and Mahomes. And then I end up just scooping up like all these wide receivers and trying that approach. It's not the most safe approach. It's definitely going to be anxiety driven, but those are fun too. I definitely love a balanced team more if I can get away with it. At least like having a DK or a Debo and then doing some of that down below that. So, like, for example, you have like a Debo Pearsall. I think it's a fantastic, or Ayuk Pearsall type of combo. And then if you have a combination of different players that are, Jameson Williams, Brian Thomas Jr., let me go over to thefantasyfootballshow.com and just read off some wide receivers too that might be helpful in this territory. So let's say you go super heavy duty running back, tight end, quarterback. Let's just say that's the best player available in redraft. You could probably still get, if I'm looking at this, I mean, Kupp's probably out of the question, right? Because you have 4 players gone. He's kind of a 4th round player. Pickens comes to mind. I've seen him fall to the 5th round. JSN, T. Higgins can fall or might not fall. You've got Ridley, Jameson Williams. And so, like, I like him right below those guys. Brian Thomas Jr. right below a Jameson Williams or a Calvin Ridley potentially. And, like, quietly almost feel like he could do just as well. And to speak to his situation for 2024, I would say that, Zay Jones leaving concerned me at first because I'm like, crap, that's the guy when he would leave, Ridley would go down the drain, right? Because if Zay's not stretching the field, Ridley's has to go stretch the field. So then I start thinking BT's going to be sent downfield all the time now. And we know it didn't end well. Yeah. But now we hear that Gabe Davis is taking on Zay Jones's role. To me, that means he's stretching the field, and now BT's going to be kind of like Christian Kirk, getting a lot of gravy over the middle and deep balls as well. But Brian Thomas Jr. is a fantastic player, bro. And he's quick. He's fast. So I love him.
Okay. All right, dude. I appreciate that. Hey, I was wondering, too. I was thinking about this. I was wondering, man, if you'd be interested in a nice, a fun, nice, friendly little wager, bro.
Let me stop you there and just say that, like, if I accepted every challenge and wager and bet everybody made me, I just wouldn't have time. A, I won't remember it. B, people don't come back and pay up, and I never remember it. I don't have a place.
It's a good one, though. It's a good one.
So like, tell me what it is. It's gonna have to really be like something that makes me like laugh in your face, or or I just like, hey, Caleb's gonna be better than Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, and I can't turn down something like that. But like I'm not gonna argue like AJ Brown versus Devontae Smith. I'm not gonna, just because I like this, like what is it?
I think it's pretty good. I think it's gonna be a fun one for us. So, so you've been talking about the Cardinals getting 10 wins.
Yeah, but that's not something
And-
I'm betting on, bro. Like that's like I'm spitballing.
Okay, all right.
But
I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna say this. I was gonna say if they get less, if they get 10 or more, I'll send you a $50 hauler, right, or a 50 super chat. But if they get less, all you have to do is just make me a Mars man.
I can't make you a Mars man because the Mars man spots are all full. So there's no way to do. There's no way I can even do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I wish I could.
All right,
but,
cool.
Yeah, I wish I could. It's a
It's
nice try,
good,
but
though.
also my 10 wins is pretty like aggressive. Like I'm not gonna be betting. Like people are wild like that. I'll be like, I think Cardinals could win 10 wins. Oh yeah, let's take a $10,000 bet on it. Like that's my optimistic view. It could go either way. What I do know is that the Cardinals, mind everybody listening, were thought of as dogs. Like just absolute ruthless, won't go away dogs last year. You can ask any team. You can ask the Niners. You can ask Deebo Samuel, who loves Kyler Murray. Come on, Kyler. Remember that? Rooting for Kyler to win so the Niners can clinch. And then the Cardinals were just dogs. They didn't go away. They didn't go away easy for anybody. Even though we lost a lot of games and lose at the end of the game, we would wear people down. We wouldn't go away. They got Benson to cuff to Connor, and if Connor stays healthy, so be it. If he doesn't, Benson's going to thrive. McBride going to be a top 2-3 tight end this year, capable of more, but we'll call him top 2 to 3. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, does so well. He's the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football, period. Overall, walking to 2025, that's how good his 2024 will be. And Kyler taking huge steps. And we got Zay Jones now, the field stretcher. We got, still got Wilson. We got a really, really, really good squad. We got defensive back help, and like this defense is going to be much improved. We did very good in the defensive department in the draft. People kept saying, "Well, your defense still sucks." The Cardinals addressed that in the draft. There's some good opportunities for the Cardinals defense to turn around immediately. 10 wins is optimistic, but I'm not betting on that, bro. That's not something.
No worries. That's
but
kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been, but I mean,
stuff,
it's like too many people would be like, everything I say, bro. Every time I open my mouth with a bold prediction, hey, JD5 is going to be, bet me. I just can't. I can't open that floodgate because it won't close, and then I'm wasting hours of my day having arguments about, why won't you bet me? You're scared to bet me. You said it. I heard you make the bet earlier, so you must not believe it. So I have a standard closed door policy on that stuff unless I'm just laughing at it. And I'm like, okay, fine. All right. All right.
Okay,
anything else, bro?
No, fair enough. Hey, the Cardinals, no, that's it. I'm just going to say this, though. The Cardinals are going to be fun. So I think it's going to be fun to watch this season for sure. I'm definitely going to be – I got that NFL ticket. So, a lot of times, if the Niners aren't on, I'll probably be checking them out. You know what I mean? It's kind of going to be an interesting year for them,
Yeah. All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Man. I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one. Thanks.
Later. Spicy take on Harrison. I like it. I grabbed a lot of McBride last year. Yeah, he's looking good. Cardinal stack. Look at this. This Cardinal stack here.
The stack above all stacks. It's time to drop the pancake emojis in the live chat.
Look at this quad right here. Kyler, Harrison, Benson, McBride. Put Connor in there. I know Connor's the starter. I'm not completely lost. Okay, but that's who I believe is the best player. That's the player I want. Especially at cost of entry, right? Like Benson's going around like 90 to 100. 101 the last time I checked. Let's see here. What else we got? Peanut butter and jelly. Appreciate you being here. Who's Kenny Powers? Kenny Powers is he's been here for a long time. Kenny's been here from the beginning. He hasn't been on the live streams a lot lately, but he's an old school mod we've had for a long time. Bob from Cali, what's up, Bob?
What's up, Smitty? Do you think Dak would waive his no trade clause if it were to like a team that was in in heat or ready to compete right out the gate.
Let's role play you and I, okay? So I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, and I call you up and I say, "Hey Dak, you're on a 1-year deal, right? You want a contract, right? What if we offer you 225 or 250 million, 190 million guaranteed? Do you think you want to waive your trade clause, or do you want to just stay on your 1-year deal and potentially risk yourself getting hurt?" So you tell me. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm just trying to walk you through the process here. Like, Bob, there's zero chance he's not waiving his no trade clause, because any team that trades for him is having to give him this contract in conjunction with the trade. So on the back end of the deal, this deal gets worked out or the trade doesn't get executed. So they essentially, and it may just be it may be 200 million. I'm just throwing numbers out. 200 million, 180 guaranteed, let's say, whatever the number ends up being. This gets worked out on the back end. So if he used to waive his no trade clause, it's because he knows he's getting $180 million guaranteed to do so, Bob. You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna waive the no trade clause for 180? I don't care where it is. Is there a team you won't play for $180 million guaranteed? That's willing to trade for you at that. Like, no one's gonna give up tremendous draft capital, future first rounders for a timeshare, right? So can you name off the top of your head a team that doesn't have a timeshare that you wouldn't play for $180 million guaranteed if you're Dak?
I mean, if there was one team, it'd probably be the Giants or the Jaguars.
You wouldn't want to play with Malik Neighbors? And the Jaguars aren't doing it because they got Trevor Lawrence. There's no way they'd trade that kind of draft capital while they're still. So
I'd want to play with Neighbors, but they don't really have anybody else. But
I know,
for 190 guaranteed at the Raiders, yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't even have to sign to a verbal agreement.
Okay. You heard it now. You heard it here first. Bob from Cali will not play for 190 mil in New York. He doesn't want Malik Neighbors. He's not having it. Okay. What else you got, bro?
Do you think taking Neighbors in the second is way too high?
In redraft?
Or any of them. Literally any of them.
If you take Neighbors in the second round of redraft, bro, I don't know what I would be like. The first thing I'd do is pull you aside and go, you know this is in Dynasty, right, bro? Like, I don't take him in the third round. I know he's going in the third round, but I'm not doing it. I'm not taking Malik Neighbors in the third as my third draft or redraft player with no quarterback. No way.
I'm talking all formats. What if he comes out and puts like 1,300 yards, 10, 12 TDs?
Well,
nobody.
I mean, I like Neighbors dynasty-wise because guess what? They have a new quarterback next year. They either have Shedeur Sanders or the other quarterback that comes out. Like, we're going to have 2 or 3 we're talking about. I'm not going to pinpoint anybody yet because I got my QB. I might do an early QB ranking, by the way. But, like, if Sanders isn't the guy, kind of like how Caleb's not everybody's guy, JD5's my guy, has been my guy since the beginning. You're getting that quarterback. You're getting one of those 2 quarterbacks probably. Giants aren't going to win very many games, bro. Even if they did somehow accidentally do well, like better than they should, they could trade up. And think about this from this perspective, bro. How many teams need a quarterback? Like, not as many as you would think, right? So there are only so many teams that are going to want to have that number 1 overall pick, number 2 overall pick, because those are quarterback draft slots. So I think next year will be the most likely year we see the number 1 pick moved out of the next like 2 or 3 years, because unless it's the Raiders or the Giants that get the pick, right? If they don't get the pick and a team has a quarterback, they're moving the pick probably for the farm. But I think the Raiders will regret not moving the farm, trading the farm, getting rid of the farm for a quarterback in this draft class, and they'll pay the price. And so they'll be willing to overpay next year, and the Giants will feel so much pressure, and they're going to feel so much like losing is just no longer what they want to have going on there. And Danny Dimes is not it. That guy looks like how I say you can tell by mannerisms and all that. I know it's judgmental, but like Danny Dimes, like, how's your starting quarterback gonna not blink? I mean, you'd think that like he would. Maybe he's not going to miss something. That's good, right? But you could just tell. You could just tell by looking at his mannerisms. He's not an elite quarterback. I'm sorry. You could just tell sometimes. I know it's judgmental. Hey, Smitty, that's really judgmental. The guy doesn't blink. That's really mean. He doesn't blink. He doesn't blink at all. That guy's is strange. Danny Dimes is not it. No matter if he blinked or not, they could correct that or not. He's not it. He's not. He's gonna crap the bed hardcore, as hard as a quarterback could crap. They've got no other alternatives. They're gonna lose tons of games. My only fear is Dable won't remain in place, and you really do want him once he gets his hands and mitts on a QB, and he might not be there. I don't know. We'll see.
I think their coach has done pretty well. I mean, Danny Dimes has showed spurts of him being able to move the ball with relative ease. But it is going to be unfortunate if he gets the sack because of Danny Dimes. I had one more question too, and it was if the Raiders could move off of Adams. I'm not sure if he has a no trade clause. Would you have done it in this year's draft to get younger wide receivers?
I mean, it depends on what you're like. Give me a scenario. You know, would I do it for like Keon Coleman? Would I do it for
a third round?
A third round? Would I trade Adams for Ricky Pearsall straight up right now? If I'm the Raiders, I would. But that's me. I know other people might not do that, but I see the value in that. Would I do it for Franklin? No. Would I do it for McConkey? Probably not. I like McConkey a lot, but I like Pearsall a lot more. Especially after even seeing him on the field. Like, McConkey looks good too. I'll say that, but Pearsall looks like a whole nother level. Like, that's why I think the Niners are going to be very tempted to move him after June. When June 1 comes, because they're going to see Pearsall and go, God, how do we keep him off the field? You know, he's so good, bro. He's so good. But yeah, I mean, Adams is no spring chicken, bro. There's no guarantee Adams produces second and third round fantasy football value, which is where his ADP is. So if you're talking about the Raiders, like what would the Raiders do? You're talking about the Raiders, right? You're not talking about fantasy. You're talking about the Raiders.
Correct.
Yeah. So if anybody's thinking he's talking fantasy, we're not talking necessarily fantasy value. We're talking about if I was in charge of the Raiders organization, he asked me, would I trade Adams for Ricky Pearsall or a wide receiver? The answer is Keon Coleman or Pearsall. I would, and obviously Brian Thomas Jr. and everybody above. But I don't know about Leggett. I like Leggett a lot. But Pearsall, Brian Thomas Jr., Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, maybe. I'm higher on Pearsall than I am Xavier Worthy. I'm higher on Keon Coleman maybe than I am Worthy, but I'm leaving that open-ended because I don't need to decide everything. Like, I'm not somebody that knows everything right away. And sometimes nobody can until we see what Worthy's going to do, how he's going to pick up things. Like, sometimes there is like a wait and see approach. You know, it doesn't mean you don't always have to be first on everything. I know we like to be here, but like sometimes we might be like, let's wait on Worthy. Okay, we waited long enough. It's, June 5. I think we're still pretty early on it, but we wanted to see what he was going to do. You know, one of Worthy's first plays, he dropped the football. It was a wide open, nobody guarding him route, and he just, went right through his hands. So everyone was posting that, including myself, saying, what do you guys think? Why is he dropping the ball already? It's practice. I get it, but there are people out there not dropping the ball. So we can call it practice all we want, but he's out there dropping the ball. And that's a concern some people have for him, so. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Have a good night.
All right, later, Bob. Super chat from Rock Out. Who's Rock Out? He's Rock Out's been here for a while, Rock Out. He's been here from the beginning. SF Flood says, what does a Purdy contract look like after the Goff contract? Bro. I don't know. I mean, that question can't be answered, obviously, until after, Purdy goes out there and replicates at least his last deal, right? If he goes out there and replicates his last season. If he goes out there and replicates his last season, then we're probably looking at above Goff, and at least at Goff at the very, very, very minimum. But that's as of right now. The difference, bro, is that, and the thing that might change everything is, does Dak get his contract? You know, do other quarterbacks get paid bank and they up the ante, right? Because Goff is the floor now. If you're a better quarterback than Goff, and most people getting a deal in the coming weeks and months and half a year or a year, full calendar year even, are going to be bigger name quarterbacks than Goff probably. So Goff is now the floor. The floor is now $212 million, $170 million guaranteed. Not 221 and 212, according to this report here. So $212 million, $170 million guaranteed. Purdy would likely get a 4-year, 5-year deal worth the same amount, $54 million a year, which is asinine to me. I'm not saying Purdy's bad, but Purdy and Goff both don't belong in the top 5 money-making territories. However, the way that contracts work in the NFL, specifically quarterback contracts, usually the 5, 6, 7 guys do leapfrog the old value because it's outdated, right? It's not like they're getting paid more than the quarterbacks below them, like Mahomes or whatever. And here are the contracts right here. Mahomes is not even on here anymore. So it's not that you're going, oh, Goff's better than Mahomes because he's getting more. What? It's because Mahomes' deal is now outdated. You know, Hurts' deal is soon going to be outdated. And so you need to have these QB 6, 7, 8s jump above. If you're these QBs, you want it, and grab these higher spots so that when it's their time, they can go climb the ladder in the backs of these guys and get a higher deal. So to some degree, getting top 5 or 6 QB money for Goff or Purdy is not absolutely crazy because of the way that these contracts grow and how they climb the backs of each other. But at the same time, it's like, for me, I don't think Purdy and Goff should be 4, 5, 6 right now. I just don't. Purdy's got a lot to prove. If Purdy does replicate his 2023 season here in 2024, there is a strong chance he's looking at $250 million or more and $180 to $195 million guaranteed. Maybe 200. I mean, the thing is, contracts go up about 20%. The salary cap goes up about 20% every 2 years. So you're looking at, maybe this is laughable for Purdy and it's not even the highest end contract at that point. I don't know, bro. Dak Prescott, it could change everything if Dak gets a deal. If Dak doesn't get a deal, then Purdy could. But the way the Niners do it, the Niner way, I mean, I got Blackbeard and people in here, Niner fans. The Niner way is to wait. Like, let me ask you this question. I don't know if Blackbeard or any Niner fan can call in real quick, but I need a Niner fan to call in. How is it going to make sense to wait on Purdy? And if they don't wait on Purdy, then it's all rubbish. It's all just garbage. Because if you're not going to wait on Purdy, but you're going to make Debo and Ayuk and Bosa wait and cause them potential bad seasons because they hold out, they're not prepared or ready, and then you're going to give Purdy the deal right away. But if you don't give Purdy the deal right away, Purdy's going to go up 20 or 40 or 50 million. Goff owes Smitty a super chat for not laughing for the entire stream at his deal, says Daddy Dennis. I mean, I agree that the money is crazy, but if the Niners wait, if they do the Niner way in the offseason, you're going to have Dak get his big fat deal. You're going to have all these contracts getting signed, and the moment these quarterbacks ink their deal, Purdy's going to go up. Purdy's going to go up. Purdy's going to go up. If they try and sign Purdy in July or August, what do you think is going to be his price tag then? $8 billion? Why would they wait? 100% he's either going to be on his 5th-year option or get a new deal. Pretty sure it'll be a new deal. It depends on how he does. If you're talking about Brock Purdy, it depends on how Brock Purdy plays. Josh Allen only making 43. Yeah, Josh Allen's making money that janitors make in the NFL. 43 million a year. That's what running backs don't even get that on their full contract that's not guaranteed. like 43 million, 10 million guaranteed. Running backs poor. It's ridiculous. Running backs don't like. How does Goff get paid astronomical amounts of dollars more than Barkley? Just I know he's the glue of a team. I get all that. I'm not an idiot, but Barkley's value is still greater than Goff. It's weird to me. Running backs get screwed because of their shelf life. Sean Payton out of touch, not having Javonte as his running back one. Yeah, rock out. You're not joking, bro. And part of me really worries about whether he still got it, because for him to do what he was trying to do with Russell Wilson, for him to not understand what time it is with his RB room, for him to really just be gutting this thing. I like Nix. I think Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I think he arguably could be better than Caleb Williams. And then people are going to think I'm absolutely insane for that. I don't know that I love Sean Payton, though. So it puts a little bit of a wrench in the Bo Nix surprising everybody, because he's kind of in a spot that he could overcome it, but I'm still a wee bit worried about it. Rock out, appreciate you dropping the super chats, my guy. Phone lines are open, guys. I'll take a couple more phone calls, and then I'll be back later tonight. We're going to probably end the show at about an hour and a half today instead of a 2-hour show. Phone lines are open. Dial in real quick.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Kind of a lot of news today. The Goff news really, I think, stirred up a bunch of good topics, right? Mike says, Smitty, I just saw this one earlier. Smitty, just admit Caleb is better than JD5. Caleb isn't even my second rookie quarterback, my guy. JD5 is miles ahead of Caleb. I mean, he's a better pocket passer, proven. There's no, Mike, you can call in. There's no argument you can make. All the data is on my side. You can only say, I think it's going to change, Smitty. I think it'll be different. You watch. Caleb will be better pocket, because Caleb's not a better pocket passer. Caleb's not a better downfield 20-plus yard thrower. Proven by data, Mike. Proven. JD5 is the best gunslinger. Read the words coming out of my mouth, Mike. JD5 is the best gunslinger in the entire rookie QB draft class. You hear me? And I can say that with confidence because I can back it up. You know who can't back it up? People saying Caleb is. They can see I think Caleb will be, and that's okay. And I'm not hating on the bold take. I think the bold takes are great. But my bold take is that JD5 is a absolute superstar in the making. JD5 and AR5 are both fives. If that doesn't explain a lot, I don't know what can. They're both fives.
There are 2 fives? JD5, AR5? There can't be.
Oh no. They're gonna cross streams. Adam, you're live. What can I do for you, pal?
I have to say that JD5 is not the best passer over Penix String.
Over who? What'd you just call him?
Penix Jr.
Yeah, that's not his name, Adam.
Well, I'm a Saints fan, so
show some respect.
Hey, I'm showing respect. Look, I'm an LSU fan, diehard to the bone.
Well, hey, you're not going to get me to argue too much with you, because that's my second favorite that's my second quarterback. Caleb's not my number 2 quarterback. He's not my number 1 quarterback.
Absolutely not. There's only 4 quarterbacks
but statistically speaking, JD5 is the best pocket passer and best 20-plus yard thrower in the draft class, and you don't have a single argument for it. I
Absolutely not. Michael Penix Jr.
Penix, say it right. Penix, say it right.
Penix. Hey, look.
Well, okay,
who that fan? We're gonna call him Penis
No,
Jr.
give me your. Okay, keep it clean, bro. It's a family show. Say it right, or I'll hang up on you. Okay, so what is the evidence you have? Because you're awfully confident, but
the passing yards.
Okay, no, but as I've said before, that JD5 is the number one QB in the last decade, bro. The last 10 years.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Are you going to listen to what? Are you going to listen to what I'm saying? He's the best completion percentage for 20-plus yard throws in the last decade in FBS, bro. He also threw 35 pocket touchdown passes last year out of 40.
Look,
you're not going to get much of an argument from me. I love Penix Jr.
Look, I love JD5. Daniels is the man.
Of course he is.
Bar none. As far as pocket passer, no, absolutely not.
I just explained it to you. What are you not listening to, though?
Penix Jr. is the Black Drew Brees, bro. He is the Black Drew Brees.
What are you not? But what are you not hearing? What are you not hearing when I'm telling you statistically you're wrong?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter? Okay.
We're talking about the NFL now.
Okay, you're talking about eyeball test. But look, I'm not going to argue with you on Penix Jr. all that much because I absolutely love him. He's NFL ready. They're both the best gunslingers in this class. It's the Caleb believers that are the wrong ones.
Look,
but
Caleb has never faced any serious competition, period. No real threat.
He did when he lost that game, and we saw how he handled it.
I mean, he's never been battle tested.
Yeah, no, he hasn't.
Michael and JD5 have both been battle tested
bro.
To the core.
Hey,
in serious battles. Now, there's another quarterback out there that's probably even better than Caleb, and that's Spencer Rattler. The dude was a number one draft prospect. He was. And not only that,
he's a Saints
did you just hear the news from the Saints camp?
You got to
get him. This guy is looking phenomenal.
I like Rattler a lot. I don't know if I'm going to go out that far on a limb and say Caleb is less than a Rattler, but I will say that Penix Jr. and JD5 are my number one and number two QBs. Well, JD5's one and Penix Jr.'s two. And they have been and they will. They'll continue to be. I haven't wavered one time in the offseason. That's been my QB rank. The entire offseason. No. But you are wrong. You're not that wrong because Penix Jr. is really close. But you're wrong because all of the data does say that not only is JD5 the best pocket passer in the 2023 class, he's the best pocket passer in the last decade. The last 10 years hold on, bro. The last 10 years in FBS, the data supports it. And not only that, bro, the only thing I would say that is just, it's going to change everything from a fantasy perspective, too, is that this guy had 3,800 yards and 40 passing touchdowns, 35 of which in the pocket. 35 in the pocket. But he had 38 and 40, 3,800 yards, bro, and he's still running for 11, 34, and 10 on the ground. 50 total touchdowns, 35 pocket touchdowns. I get what you're saying. I love Penix Jr., too. He's right there. But this guy, I have all the stats right in front of me. Best completion percentage on 20-plus yard throws in the last 10 years in college football. He had 11 pocket touchdowns, and 0 INTs in the final 3 games of the season. That's insane, bro.
I've been calling quarterback since Drew Brees come out.
Okay.
I have hit every single quarterback on the head. Okay. In this draft class, Michael is better. And that's coming from an LSU fan. I'm a diehard. I have season tickets to LSU games. All right. Been having them for the past 10
Adam,
years.
I've been doing this a little bit too.
Penix is a better quarterback than JD5.
You're wrong on that, but it's not like I'm going to argue with you because I love Penix Jr. All right, later. Appreciate you, Adam.
Yes, sir.
Good luck with Rattler. I like Rattler, but good luck with Rattler because there's a lot of question marks there. But I like Rattler. I'm hoping Rattler is really, I'm hoping he's going to be phenomenal. Anybody hating on JD5? I see a few like JD5 comments like, yeah, but he had amazing competition, and he scored 50 total touchdowns, 40 passing, 10 rushing, 1,100 plus yards, almost 4,000 passing yards. I mean, there's just no argument to be made against amazing competition. Amazing competition. Yeah. JD, the thing about JD5 too is, like, I've said this before, like, this comes from my like scouting of track, track and field, when I coach track and field, and you'd scout and try and not only size up, opponents and things when I was running track, because you literally have to look at someone and say, who am I worried about? And you can tell by sizing them up. You can see by their muscle structure, the way they jog, the way they run, their stride. I could literally watch a whole group of people striding out before a mile run. That people will run and stride out and stretch out. I could literally watch that first, that final, 2 minutes before the race starts, and I could tell you who's going to win. And you can't translate all that to the NFL. I get that. But what I'm trying to say is there's a lot to watching a player on the field and seeing how they produce. And if you think that's a weird way to describe it, think about the times you felt that. And it's not something that everybody can hone in on, but like, it's something that you literally have in your tool belt of scouting mechanisms that help you identify talent. It's not the only thing. It's just one of those added benefits of saying, good God, when I watch him play, I don't know if anybody, when you watch Priest Holmes play, when you watch Calvin Johnson play, when you watch Randy Moss play, and the way he galloped down the field, the separation, the ability to push off on the defender, and you just watched how he moved, you knew. You could watch literally 2 plays of Randy Moss catching a deep touchdown pass, and you wouldn't say, oh, that was a lucky play. That's just a guy with an outlier. You could watch literally 5 guys catching long touchdowns, and maybe some of them are one-hit wonders or whatever. You could literally go look at Randy Moss and go, holy shit. Just watching the mechanics, the mechanisms, the bone structure, the muscle structure, the spring, everything. And when you watch JD5, you watch him play football, go YouTube his footage and watch a good 30 minutes or 20 minutes straight of JD5. You'll say to yourself, this looks different than anything I've ever seen. And those are the types of things, if you hone in on that scouting type of capability at some point, it helps. It's an accoutrement. It's not a be-all, end-all. There are some players that maybe are a little awkward. Like Tom Brady didn't have that in college, right? He developed it in the pros. It's not an exact science. You can't find Tom Brady's this way. You can't always find Randy Moss's this way. Sometimes receivers come out of nowhere too in the NFL. It happens all the time. But it's an accoutrement, an additive, a bonus ability to look at somebody and say, this is different. I can see it. I can feel it. I know this guy's going to be different. He's the part. He looks the part. It's just an added piece of these two things are equal. That guy looks the part. He looks the part. Bijan looks the part. When you watch Bijan run the ball, he's fluid. His cuts are smooth. You know you're looking at arguably the best running back athlete in the entire National Football League, which is why we were so behind Bijan last year. You watch Breece Hall run the ball, you know you're looking at a specimen that's different than everybody else. Gibbs, Achane, these guys are all so very unique. And sometimes you miss. Kyron didn't look necessarily that way coming out of college, although I loved him. I didn't love him last year walking out of his injury-plagued rookie year, and that's on me. And I'll never forgive myself for backing off of what I thought would be an amazing, explosive player in Kyron Williams. And then he got hurt his rookie year, and I tailed off on my hyping of him, and I shouldn't have. And I'll regret that for years. But I did see some special traits in him. But you don't always see it. With JD5, it's glaring. It's right in front of you. You just got to watch. You got to be open-minded to it. Take a little gander at some JD5 footage. Do yourself a favor. D-Town with a super chat, $5 holler. Since Burrow came into the league, Goff has over 2K more passing yards and one more passing touchdown. I'd take Burrow over Goff, but just saying. I mean, D-Town, you can definitely make these statistical arguments. And honestly, I'm not going to defend Burrow and say that that's crazy. Like, what if Burrow can't? I'm not saying he'll be this way, but what if he couldn't stay healthy? What if Chase couldn't stay healthy? What if the Bengals just couldn't keep it together for full years at a time? Like, it's always something that comes up. I'm not saying I feel that way. I love Burrow, but there is a world where you can have these questions, right? And doesn't make you crazy. Not to mention Burrow's not a big running quarterback, so it doesn't. But from a football perspective, like, Burrow is head and shoulders above Goff in my mind. I just can't sit here and say, is Detroit, like, if Detroit could trade, would they do it? Yes, they would. Anybody would. But, like, will it work out for sure better? I mean, Goff is pretty good. Is Purdy better fit for the Niners than a better quarterback going to the Niners? Is Lamar going to San Francisco probably winning a championship? I'd say yes. But some could make an argument as long as they're smart about making it and delivering the argument. Like, hey, Smitty, I get what you're saying about Purdy, but I believe Purdy, for Shanahan, he wants a yes man. He's a better fit for the Niners offense than bringing in a Lamar or something. I could at least understand what you're saying and accept that you feel that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, if someone wants Goff in the Detroit Lion offense because he fits well and it's perfect over somebody else like Burrow, like, I get it. I don't necessarily agree. I'd take the gamble. I'm a risky man, but I understand it at least from that perspective. Hey, Smitty, why is McLaurin not being talked about like London when he just got JD5 and Cliffs is Calvin Krim? He's caught 75 and 1,000 in the last 4 years with crap QB play. Calvin, it's a great point, and we do talk about him a little bit. I mean, we have 2-hour shows, 3-hour shows, sometimes longer. So it's hard to identify and pinpoint where I said it, but we talk about it a lot. McLaurin's very crafty. I like McLaurin a lot. McLaurin's a fantastic wide receiver 2 in fantasy in 2024. I don't think there's any reason to shy away from him and Dotson as a cuff. Kind of like my Ricky Pearsall and Debo cuff in redraft or dynasty, especially dynasty, but redraft too. I really like Dotson because you can get him super late. Dotson cuff to McLaurin. And only plan to use one at first, but who knows? I think one of them will go off. One of Dotson and McLaurin will have a day every Sunday. Some Mondays, occasional Thursdays. They will. So grab them. Both of them is fantastic. It's a great question, Calvin. Appreciate you. Rockout is on the phone line. Rockout, I'm about to leave in about 5 minutes. What can I do for you, kind sir?
Yeah, been watching the film on JD5 from this week's mini camp. So far, looking good. Doesn't tell you everything, but it's a good start. And if anybody doubts JD5, just watch JD5 versus Florida film.
Yeah. I think anybody that watches JD5 film that doesn't love him, I've never met somebody that's done that. The only thing I could tell you is I can't confirm the person did or didn't watch it, and then they don't like JD5. But anybody I've said watch film and they're kind of like conflicted, they come back and say, you know what? I don't know what my hang up was. I think because I keep hearing from people and it's bad information that he's too small, he's going to get injured. Usually people will, any negative Noah that used to say JD5 isn't good enough or whatever, I think they're at the point now where they're like, damn it, this is getting a little bit out of control. This is similar to the Kyron Williams and Achane hate, right? You dug a hole, you keep digging further. You're digging because you want some sort of confirmation you weren't wrong, and you keep digging for it instead of just accepting it, moving on. But you'll notice that the JD5 hate is now not centered around talent at all, not centered around anything other than he's going to get hurt at the next level. He's good, but he'll get hurt at the next level. He'll be out by week 6. This guy can't take a hit. There's no way. When, I don't know about you, Rock Out, but this is similar to like I said with my brother. My brother cuts his fingers all the time, hits the nerves, bleeding all over, taking him to the ER once every year. My brother. But when he was kind of down on himself, because every year we're like, Zach, what are you doing? Keeps cutting himself. and then you know, his buddy leaned in and said, do you know that this man cuts himself less than almost anyone on planet Earth? And my brother looked over at him. He said, what do you mean? I'm in the hospital all the time. He goes, the ratio of you dealing with blades all day long, because he's constantly cutting. He's a maker. He creates things, and he's constantly working with blades. The percentage of usage to cut rate is actually probably one of the best in the entire world. And my brother in the ER, as he's getting patched up, stood up so straight. He had a big grin on his face. It was all perspective. And he's like, I am the best cutter on the planet. And it's like, that perspective is just like, it is kind of crazy when you think about something like that, right? Like, he literally cuts himself less than I do with blades because he's using them like 5,000 times a year more than I am. So the ratio, so my whole analogy goes back to JD5. JD5's running for 1,134 yards on the ground. JD5 is running for 10 touchdowns. Do you think we're going to be able to find more footage of him getting popped than the average quarterback? The answer to that is yes. Are we going to see this man who's producing more opportunities to be examined, having more cherry-pickable content of him getting popped? Yes. That's the moral of the story. It's all perspective. 1134. Show me another 1,134 rushing quarterback that's not getting popped. The answer is he ran for 300 or 400 yards. He got popped once. He's running for 1134, extending plays, 10 touchdowns, and he's got footage of him getting popped. Oh, I'm real worried about JD5. Not to mention, he says he's 210. Maybe he's 208, 209. He's going to gain weight. He's working out at an NFL facility, eating NFL food on the daily now, getting fed like crazy, working out with NFL trainers and weightlifting experts. This guy's going to be at 210, 212 before you know it. He's 6'4". He's a smidge under 6'4". You know who's playing at 205 at 6'1"? Lamar Jackson.
Lamar.
And no one's worried about Lamar getting hurt. You hear people go, oh, he's leaner now. He knows how to not take a hit. Well, what? He can't learn? Do you think that they're not going to teach him how to slide? Is he the first quarterback to ever come out of college that we're like, hey, we need to teach you how to slide? Let me show you a film of AR5. Guy who's going to have, potential rookie of the year consideration, and his career almost could be cut short. You never know how these things turn out, and he definitely had his rookie season cut short. Do you want that, JD5? Do you think the Washington Commanders aren't going to sit him down and have that conversation? Do you think that he doesn't have a coach in Kingsbury or other coaches, his QB coach isn't going to sit him down and go, let's keep you healthy? We have a lot of people talking about you getting hurt. You don't think it's in his ear? You don't think it's on his mind? You don't think Kingsbury's thinking about it because he hears it all day long, reads it all day long? You don't think they have a plan for teaching this man to take less hits at the NFL level? Of course they do. It's all perspective. Rock out. Anything else, my young man?
Yeah, it was some comments maybe like just for the draft. RG3 even thinks he was better than him coming out. What's your thoughts on RG3's perspective of JD5 being better than him?
Look, RG3 was unbelievable as rookie. Like, he was such an exciting prospect. So I don't even take great offense to that, when people say that. But they're not the same player. Like, when people try and compare RG3, like, it's almost as if they're trying to say, because our RG3, did this, and this, and then fizzled out, that JD5 has to have that exact same outcome or not. Like, why are we comparing them? JD5 is the best pocket passer to come out of college in the last 10 years. As I've just mapped out, proven, shown everybody. There'll be people in the chat later that don't listen and go, he's not the best. Caleb is. Because they're not going to, retain any of it.
They don't see it.
But he's the best pocket passer to come out of college in the last decade. RG3 was not anywhere near the same pocket passing quarterback at all.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not even close. So I don't even like, even though I don't mind the success story of RG3 as a rookie, I don't like the comparison. It doesn't make any sense. We're talking about a guy that's so far advanced right now for where he should be. I mean, going into a Kingsbury offense, being surrounded by talent that's being sought after and brought in by Cliff Kingsbury or by Adam Peters. Going to go down as one of the better GMs in the league after this year. It's not even close. And Washington is crafty, bro. They've got a pretty good team. Like, they draft Sinnott. Sinnott could be a top 7 tight end in the National Football League. I wouldn't be surprised if Sinnott was a top 5 to 7 tight end in 2025 drafts. If we're like, oh my God, he looks so good. Maybe not all year long, maybe in spots, but JD5's clinging to him in practice right now. You see Sinnott and JD5 building that rapport early. This is like LaPorta looking stuff, early on at least. I don't know if it'll continue, but Sinnott looks really good. Would not be shocked if Sinnott becomes better than Bowers, even though I love Bowers, and we're doing the whole LaPorta Kincaid thing where it's like, this got flipped up. We love both of them, right? But look at LaPorta. He's ahead of Kincaid, and he'll probably remain ahead of Kincaid. We might see Bowers, who we thought was the best generational talent, flip to 2, and Sinnott go to number 1 and be a glorified, option for JD5, man, because he loves him. And as we said, McLaurin, Dotson, this is a really good team. Eckler, I don't know that Eckler has between the tackle ability left, but maybe they get Eckler out of space and he's able to do like his old school days of 700 yards receiving, 600 yards receiving, and he becomes a receiver. That's where he did his bread and butter production, was in the receiving game. There was a point where Eckler was not a 500-yard rusher. He didn't rush for 500 yards. He was a receiving back that had some rushing work, and he was a top 5 running back. I'm not saying he's top 5. I just think that there might be a little left in the tank, enough to say, hey, Eckler with Brian Robinson, and then the future potential of bringing somebody in next draft class or whatever. Free agency, they're not done. This is just beginning. The Washington and dare I say, I think the Washington Commanders are better set up than the Chicago Bears. And I know someone's going to not like that, especially in the chat later. In the live chat, we'll see a couple people like, no, I don't agree with that. You don't have to agree with it. I don't care. Like, I care. I care about you. I care about everybody's opinion. But I don't need to care about that. That's how I feel. And the Washington Commanders are better set up than the Chicago Bears. Everybody keeps talking about how the Chicago Bears offense is the best we've ever seen a rookie quarterback yet. Why? Well, I love Odunze, and don't get me wrong, I would want Odunze in this Washington Commanders situation in a heartbeat. Like, I would trade McLaurin and Dotson and Eckler straight up for Odunze just to get him over. But you've got McLaurin still potentially a 1,300-yard receiver and 10 touchdowns. Like, he's still a low-end wide receiver 1 potentially in fantasy football and a top 12 NFL wide receiver. Think DJ Moore when he finally got Fields. Like, that's what McLaurin is about to do. And he's actually still pretty young, in the big picture. Ziggy, how old is Terry McLaurin?
28. Terry McLaurin is 28 years old and was born on September 15th,
so he turns 29. He's still got at least 2 years left before we start panicking on it, and that's enough. And then that's why Dotson's a really good cuff in Dynasty. But Sinnott's better than Cole Kmet. Sorry. Does that piss you off?
It's gonna be big.
Does that bother you, Bob? All right, we got Bob on the line too. Bob, I don't mean you. Does that bother you, Billy? Little Billy from Massachusetts? Does that bother you? That I like Sinnott more than Cole Kmet? Sinnott hasn't even stepped on the field yet, Smitty. We like Sinnott. Yeah, I don't care. Ziggy off. I don't care. I don't care. I like Sinnott a mile over Cole Kmet. A mile. How's that? How's that feel? Okay. I like JD5 a country mile more than I like Caleb. Right there, Washington's got a big command and lead on the differences between these two teams. Running back stable. Let's call it even. Because Swift has been worked into the ground, was one of the most inefficient, even though we loved him and he was a moon man and he did his job. But at the end of the year, he was so inefficient and getting worked into the ground. He's not a between the tackle running back, and the Eagles absolutely wore all the tread off the tires, in my opinion, and just put him in a very vulnerable, injury-prone state for 2024. Mark my words. If anybody's getting hurt off of last year's workload, DeAndre Swift is at the top 5 of my list for running backs. Maybe top 4 of most likely running backs to get injured this year because of the way they were used last year recklessly. And I don't say that to say that, oh, watch out, Barkley. Barkley's built for it. Swift wasn't. Swift was like a host of a restaurant and you tried to make him manager all year long and wrote him in OT hours, 60 hours a week. He's playing manager and he's a host. And by the time the year's over, he's just like, oh my God, you forced him to do all these extra things. Swift is going to get destroyed. So give me the Washington Commanders running game, Brian Robinson Jr., Eckler, honestly, over the Chicago Bear mess that hasn't done anything yet because they don't know how to use it. Okay? So now you go to the wide receivers. Washington, I like across the board so far. You know, you could argue defenses, whatever. I'm not scared of the Washington defense over the Chicago Bear defense. Sorry, I'm just not. We'll see what happens. But now we go to wide receivers. Washington or Bears win. Bears have a better wide receiver crew. I wouldn't even say by a country mile, but I would say because of Odunze alone.
They win at wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I love Odunze. The problem is, will the Bears screw up using it all? Will they deploy it wrong? Will they raise up Caleb to be a bust like they tried to do with Fields? Hopefully Fields is revived over in Pittsburgh, but they can't develop quarterbacks. They haven't done it. They haven't named a quarterback. Anybody remembers Jake Plummer's their best quarterback we can remember? Like, this is a team that does not know the quarterback position. And so give me Kingsbury, who wanted Caleb, and the Bears should have brought him in to mold and sculpt Caleb because he was Caleb's QB coach over at USC. But they decided they did a preliminary kick the tires interview with Kingsbury and they weren't interested. They decided to go with a guy that comes from Seattle. And I'm not saying Shane Waldron's bad. I just liken him to like a very good high school math teacher that you're asking to go teach calculus at Harvard. It's just not a fair request. So we'll see what happens.
Go ask JSN.
We'll see what happens. All right, rock out. Anything else, pal?
That's it. Appreciate it.
All right, later. Bob from Cali, you got 30 seconds. Then I'm out of here.
What are your thoughts on the NFL season going to 18 games instead of 17? Effect on fantasy.
So they probably do the 2 bye weeks, which will then kind of reset the concern I would have would be statistics, right? Having to adjust everything, not being able to use old statistics. What does a 1,000-yard season even mean if you go to an extra game? But if you give the extra bye week, then it's all really relative. And honestly, I don't think it affects too much. I think, if anything, it might keep guys healthier. Especially if they take away the preseason or something. Like, I think they should just get rid of the preseason. I don't even think they should have it at all. I think if they got rid of the preseason and they added an extra bye week, I'm down for it. And the players probably are too, to some degree, because they get the extra bye week. So the NFL should really look to do it, I think, from a financial perspective, because all they got to do is just stretch it out, add the bye week, and it doesn't change anything for the players necessarily in terms of games played, but it gives them more ability to make more money, potentially. So,
do you think it would affect where RBs are taken? Did it get taken higher, lower?
I think we'll have to see it play out a year to see if there's an effect, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see how it's handled with injuries. The bigger impact will be the new kickoff rules, bro. I'm really wondering what that's going to do for stats. Teams are going to be better field position. Are they going to score more often? Defenses will be back on the field quicker. So we'll see how that wears down defenses. Like, there's a whole lot of things that and this might not go the way I'm even thinking. But God, I didn't really think it would go like this. But the kickoff rules are way more impacting, because you got great field position now, pretty much guaranteed. Like, how many times is a team going to be pinned inside the 20? I guess punts, but I don't know.
Are you considering making like a video of the whole new kicking rules and whatnot, and who could possibly,
Yeah, I mean, maybe at some point. Yeah, when we start hearing a little buzz. Casey's got the rugby player that's kind of exciting, but I don't know. Like, if you have like kickoff return touchdowns count as touchdowns, like, we might start looking into something like that. But I don't really do a lot of kickoff yard content because it's not very popular. So, like, and not that I just do what is popular and what gets clicks. I don't really think like that. But I certainly am not in the business of, since I don't play it myself, creating a piece of content that 80% of everyone watching is not interested in, and 30% is really into it. They want it. There's no return yard kickoff content, Smitty. Bring it. We love it. Yeah, you love it, but 80% of people watching be like, I'm not going to watch this episode, because a lot of people don't play kickoff yards, you know? Like, it's kind of a dumb stat to me, because then it makes these wide receivers just all over the place. Like, you know, you have the number one wide receiver is not even a good receiver, you know, or I don't like that. I don't like everyone's tinkering with everything. They're trying to just, you know, let's make it super flex to account for the fact that we screwed up and made it PPR back in the day to try and eliminate running backs. Now let's go with the flex, because now we've got too many wide receivers getting taken because we went PPR. So now we got to add a flex. And some of it I like, but it's like, when are we going to stop tinkering with what is going to be something you can consume? Because if somebody's got a weird scoring that I can't even understand on a quick phone call, and you've got these weird lineups that make no sense, and then some kind of return yard added to it, how are you going to consume content for that? No one's creating it. No one wants to. So my advice to anybody, commissioners out there, anybody looking to start a league, don't do some stupid scoring that you won't ever be able to consume content for. You're going to be on an island by yourself trying to calculate how to go about this. It's not fun. It's not a fun way to do it. All right. Hey, Bob. Later, Bob. Bob, appreciate you. Calvin Krim, another $2 hauler. Sinnott will be used as a goalie. Will be used as a goalie. Be back too. Probably goal line back. I think he's saying goal line back. Yeah, potentially. Sinnott's a beast, bro. He's a big boy. I think that's what Calvin meant. Calvin, thank you. Appreciate you. Since Burrow came into the league, already got that one. Thank you, D-Town, for the super chat. Thank you guys all for the super chats. Thank you, Calvin Krim, Space Ricky, Rock Out, D-Town, Calvin Krim. You guys absolutely rock. Don't forget, if anybody wants to drop a $50 hauler on the board up here, we're dropping $50 haulers up here, and if you win that, you can co-host a show with your boy Smitty. I'll let you come on here for multiple segments, and you can co-host. We'll even start the show together, side by side on screen, for whoever wins this contest. A $50 super chat gets you a prediction. So if you want to drop one of those at any point during the end of the show before I close out, then do it, and I'll write it on the board. And if anybody wants to do it later, that's fine. We'll be back tonight. We'll probably be drafting tonight. I'll see you all later. Calvin, I knew what you meant. I said to put it together. Appreciate you all. Ethan, Adam, Superfish, Alan, Calvin Krim, Robert, D-Town, Marty's in the building, Blackbeard, appreciate you all. Who else is up in this mug? I mean, a lot of you. We got 233 people in the building total right now. 120 to 150 on YouTube. The rest from Twitter and other platforms. Daddy Dennis, appreciate you. Ethan, we'll see you later. Robert, see you later. DeBalt in the building. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Space Ricky. Thank you, Sick Nasty, if you're in here. Thank you to all my mods. Kenny Powers, appreciate everybody in here. I'll see you all later. Blackbeard to the moon. Travis to the moon. Kenny to the moon. I don't know who else is here besides Space Ricky. We don't know where Vamp is. If we get a Vamp sighting. Vamp, if you're watching, I need you to text me, because we've been trying to make sure you're okay. See you all later. Congrats to Goff.
Legend has it, if you say St. Brown 3 times in the dark in the bathroom, you will immediately lose your league.
Don't forget to get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com for year-round content, year-round rankings, super rookie rankings, super flex rankings, super flex dynasty, super flex redraft regular, and non-redraft. All those rankings at thefantasyfootballshow.com. Link in the description. And bold predictions, video courses, trade calculator, articles, all that stuff. See you all later. Appreciate you.
Hi. What would you like?
Footballs, please. Lots of footballs, please.
Coming up.
He's Marvin, he's 11 feet tall, and he loves to consume the football. He's Kyler, he's 4 feet tall, but Star and Marvin will answer the call. They're Kyler and Marvin.
John with the super chat, can you speed up the private drafts, please? Oh, on Underdog. Hold on, John. John wants to know if we can speed up the drafts at Underdog. Hold on a second. Hi, Underdog. It's Smitty. Hey, is there any way we could change the draft for the millions of people drafting right now and shorten the timer for John? His name's John. $2 super chat. Not enough? John, I appreciate you. I got no control. I got no control over Underdog's product. You know, like, hey, can we shorten up the draft timer, Underdog? Can we get on top of that, please? On that note, we're going to be either doing a private draft tonight or probably drafting on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. There's the link right there. The link's in the description of the video. Use code Smitty. Underdog will, if you use code Smitty, the link I just dropped inserts code Smitty for you. The link's in the description of the video as well. If you're watching the replay, 50% match on your first deposit up to $250. So if you drop $10, they'll give you $5. You drop $20, they'll give you $10. You drop $100, they'll give you $50. You drop $500, they'll give you $250. $250. Oh, it's Underdog. Hello? Oh, hey, Ma. I thought you were Underdog. I'm sorry. Underdog! Dog! The meatloaf, Ma! John, look, John, I appreciate the super chats, my guy. I appreciate you. $2 holler again from John. John says, the pick time you set for is 9 hours. Hold on. Underdog and Smitty again. Okay, John just dropped another super chat. He wants to know if there's anything, I know I just called. He says the pick time that I picked for the draft. I know, I just clicked it. It's 9. I know you guys set the time. He doesn't know that. Okay. I got you. Okay. John, according to Underdog, no. John, I have no control. I don't pick a draft timer. I go in, they turn it off at midnight or 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. or whatever the time is. So the draft timer gets added to like 10 hours or whatever. But it's an 8-hour timer and it goes to 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours when it goes past prime time. I have no control over the time. I don't set a timer. It's Underdog, bro. You're jumping into a draft. I have no control, but I appreciate you. I'll see if I can get. I can't read that text message. Miss Smitty says, "Hurry up, John." Miss Smitty says, "Hurry up, John. He can't change it, John." Can you yell at John, Miss Smitty? But he's dropping super chats. All right, I'll see you later, guys. John, I appreciate you, by the way. I have zero control.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.